104. What kind of disorganized nonfiction writer jumps from one topic to another? My excuse is, my format is, life-threatening world news hammers my all-night radio. Then when dawn breaks, I gotta warn you, horrible governments are killing us. But the reporters mention or don't mention excellent reforms without telling us who's got to stop and redirect leaders that today are 10 times more powerful than us victims. So I brainstorm the rescue laws and programs to save us and dump 100% of the job on just about the only world saviors left, you and me. We'll lead leaders. We are the leaders. We family lovers already moving heaven and earth, saving our own families, are now convinced that a crazy world's coming to kill us anyway, so we decide to organize and activate to enforce legal public sanity. Here's your next job that HHS boss RFK is too crazy and stupid to do, while Trump steals his money and people anyway. I detailed the public health rescue we need if bird flu spreads and worsens in people. Turns out that a number of nations thought it way too dangerous not to attack, control, and reverse the animal pandemic exactly like the widely known human pandemic rescue protocol. Nail it before it hammers humanity. Test, test, test. Vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate. Chickens and cattle are the victim masses, both perilously close to mutating spread to humans. Smarter nations vaccinate them. America, again world's worst pandemic victim and world's weakest responder, tests not 1% of the sick animals and vaccinates 0. Give us credit, though, for preparing 3 million doses of human vaccine. Law, you must demand of Congress, courts, and executive. Vaccinate every cow, chicken, and farm worker in America. Test all monthly at least, weekly at most. Boom all science, national and state staff to get this done. Outlawing 100% of Trump-Musk rape and murder of all public health government goes without saying. Correction, your verbal, public, legal, judicial, legislative, political interventions are critical. Learn from other nations what works and organize world pandemic rescue, simultaneously building the treaty to grow and enforce it. Now get busy, especially across the world's greatest nation, if you mean WMD and Neanderthal government genocide, that is. Until Trump destroyed it, we had the world's greatest science and medical research, if not care establishment. Over a decade ago, measles was worldwide defeated, vanished, thanks to a half-century of near-universal vaccination. Yet its invited return has been staging since the baseless 1998 British study by Wakefield connected vaccines with autism. Ever since, ever-increasing numbers of parents worldwide demanded opt-outs from school vaccination requirements. You will conclude from my true story that world education to replace fearful ignorance tops the list of reforms needed to prevent preventable disease. Whenever school vaccinations fall below 95%, measles, whooping cough, and polio return. Most American states are now well under 90% vaccination. Virtually every new disease victim is unvaccinated. Measles, suffered by the very young to very old, has a significant rate of permanent ear damage, a high hospitalization percentage, and a major death rate. For example, the 84 unvaccinated children killed as a direct consequence of RFK Jr.'s loud, extended campaign against measles vaccination across American Samoa during their big measles outbreak. Vaccine resistance during COVID killed millions. American failure to vaccinate chickens against bird flu leaves us allowing hundreds of millions of cases. Only slaughtering victims impossible to 100% locate ever grows our animal pandemic, now found in 82 humans, obviously only the tip of the untested iceberg. In the sickest, the virus has been studied to rapidly mutate to more human infectious form. The 3 million vaccine doses prepared are below 1% of imminent human need, on top of the 500 million that must be given to chickens and cows yesterday. President Trump's mass firings and funding theft across the American government are especially massive and immediate across every public health agency of federal government, while his state government legions destroy state health departments, dooming American testing and vaccination critical to reversing, not nuclear exploding, our new pandemic poised, if the cards fall wrong, to kill 10 to 50 times COVID's 19 million. These idiots believe public health, government, and vaccines, not viruses we could stop, the danger. From medical science salvation to dark ages ignorance and slaughter in 2 insane decades. Only you can save the world and your family. Public educate 5% more voters to defeat the crazy killers in our next House and Senate elections. All such pandemic opposition must be world treaty law, lest individual, irresponsible nations explode contagion 25,000 miles around. Only listeners up in your 80s have any memory of the dark ages when 500 Americans, mostly irreplaceable little children, died of measles before the MMR vaccine reduced the deaths and indeed all cases to 0, well before the beginning of America's 21st century. Now, thanks to decades of anti-vaxxer idiocy, lowering vaccination rates from upper 90% to mid 80%, 609 states spread measles again, killing 2. One died after her mom was bamboozled by an RFK-inspired clinic into refusing vaccination, then giving her dying child cod liver oil. In truth, vitamin A will significantly reduce measles deaths, but only among the stupidly unvaccinated. The Trump administration, during this invited-to-return epidemic, has illegally removed Congress's 50-state vaccine assistance program. Only you can vote out the lethal, ignorant fools and press mandatory, no opt-out school vaccination nationwide. You may instead just shrug your shoulders and muse, "Oh well, add 2 more to the HH director's American Samoa 84 dead kids after he campaigned across the island against the MMR vaccine." He's got nearly 4 more years to sabotage American and world vaccination, while his boss takes away 100 nations' USAID antiretrovirals, keeping 20 million AIDS victims alive, because the search for an AIDS vaccine that he also illegally defunded has yet to reach the promised land. Ironically, his 2020 COVID vaccine that he did devote $11 billion to saved many, many millions of lives. Now he destroys world vaccination. Sue in every federal and state court to restore full pandemic defense. Wherever possible, with illegally defunded and fired staff judicially restored. And your election issue? Partisan Steve favoring wise rescue over stupid murder accuses Trump's Republicans of being today's political party of death. Democratic majorities would vote 50 state and federal restoration of public health rescue if encouraged and educated by you, who also should appeal to every Republican, who also might learn to win their children's good health off of pandemic ventilators with water to drink and food to eat and sunshine instead of mushroom clouds in their living, not dying room windows. Hundreds of programs fully appropriated by the American Congress, medical, small business, farming, and much other aid to people are being destroyed, destaffed, and defunded illegally by President Trump and his unelected, unconfirmed co-president Elon Musk. Their teenage and college kid hacker agents burst into every office. The president orders you out while we computer ravage this enterprise. To stop tyranny, first it must be identified and described. Since Trump's first 2016 presidential run, our passive, propagandized population has been brainwashed to assent, not resistance. Big lies, 1,000 times hammered, drown the truth. Every biggest emperor's power. Who said, "Keep saying it until they believe it"? The liar's motto and strategy. Donald Trump. Who else? Then the rich buy governments and install fat cat foxes in our government administration and regulatory henhouses. Congressmen, senators, federal and Supreme Courts, and presidents are selected by public corrupting with private cash businessmen able to buy with lying commercials the electoral majorities. Executives are then empowered to dictatorship, feasting on many national constitution carcasses. Watch tyrant Trump destroy American government care of the poor and middle classes to fund tax break trillions for his million and billionaire cronies. 1,000 multinational bosses have boomed their power by military force or illegal, nonviolent coercion. Their courts and legislatures under corrupt domination. Pressure to inflict oligarchs' special interests over and theft of the founders' general equal welfare law. Now, how are lil ol' me and lil ol' you gonna stop all this highway robbery? With great difficulty, when our lawsuits founder against corruption-tainted federal and Supreme Court judges. So let's get behind a law that adds to all judges' education and decision guidelines. Detailed emphasis on the entire history of government power booming the 1%'s already overpowered crushing of the 99%. Only Patriarch's 10,000-year his story. Make judge candidates study how this happened over your nation's history. What power and bigotry influences push leaders to continue the democracy wrecking? And how does your Constitution order you to protect all people? Which national court decisions, for example, America's Citizens United booming dirty money to the moon, and rulings against voting rights, does a constitutional scholar consensus beg you to overturn? My listeners, please recall my proposed laws against private campaign finance, required to elect uncorrupted executives and legislators pledged to select clean federal judges, and add 4 to 5 legitimate Constitution, not fat cat supporting Supreme Court justices. Not just America's, but all other nations' life-saving opportunities. When a would-be dictator actually becomes one by savaging hundreds of laws to destroy large chunks of government, some, if not all people, must demand and win new laws, and get existing laws enforced upon even the world's most powerful man. Present deaths occur while we dither, accelerating as our public neglect continues. I'll describe, as I always have, the emergency laws needed soon. Trump fired thousands of IRS employees. Many were working on collecting up to $1 trillion of unpaid taxes, exponentially more than their combined salaries. Trump and Musk thus lie that they fired people to save taxpayers' money, instead robbing us of that $1 trillion. Another lie: we combat waste and fraud. Actually, they massively commit both, not to mention robbery of our legislators' constitutional power of the purse. A federal judge ordered President Trump's unconstitutional U.S. aid halt and staff destruction to stop, all aid to resume. For days, Trump flat refused compliance. The judge went ballistic, firing off stern orders for obedience. Trump instantly got his Supreme Court lackey 6 to temporarily cancel the judge's aid resumption order. The aid halt was booming thousands of starvation and critical illness deaths. Let Trump's world murder rage, ruled his Black Death robes. Had Trump's court not planned to permanently destroy U.S. aid, they would have stopped the unlawful cutoff, clearly required by the Constitution. Our latest, most urgent argument for packing that court to outnumber anti-Constitution evil with pro-Constitution good. So did the Supreme Court, in allowing Trump to continue to assassinate, not execute congressional laws, act for or against the U.S. Constitution? Has not Trump, for 2025 months, shutting down literally thousands of congressional appropriations, in every instance violated congressional constitutional law? No different than his 2020 cut-off of military aid to Ukraine to extort Zelensky's public investigation of his election opponent Joe Biden's brother Hunter. I refer you to Senator Angus King's comments. The Constitution gives Congress the power of the purse. government program funding and design, including staff and public benefit objectives, made law. The president's role, his power tempered by specific responsibility, duty assigned to him to faithfully execute all congressional laws, to carry them out. Also said Senator King, the founders did not mean execute the laws he likes and destroy the ones he doesn't. Even if the Supreme Court ended their slavish commitment to a dictator and started faithfully resuming their job of defending our Constitution and issued rulings against an autocrat breaking the law, and even if Trump's hired to twist every law to the president's power Justice Department instead charged him with his law breaking, Trump's Supreme Court made him immune from virtually any prosecution and conviction. Of course now he savages American laws from first coffee to last nightcap and goes to bed laughing himself sick. At his first cabinet meeting, his co-president Musk stalked the room towering over the seated, silent cabinet. He lied. When our program halts are occasionally mistaken, we fix things quick. Ebola outbreak aid was halted briefly, then restarted in time to stop any harm. Millions of Americans thus reassured. Months later, area observers saw zero aid for booming contagion. Then Trump forbade a dozen American national and international research and aid agencies from any communication with each other, lest those deep state villains magnify mischief outside of my direct orders. Our international medical aid agencies were cooperating and collaborating to combat an incredibly dangerous growing group of national and world disease outbreaks. Screw them all, says Donald. Let world contagion rage and grow ever nearer your family. Faithfully executing the laws certainly means leave every dollar, job, and program design supported, not wrecked. But any deliberate destruction of executive government's ability to help people, government's job, is clearly broken constitutional law and duty. All courts you co-opt must so rule. When your government of, by, and for the people replaces half the world's stinking oligarchy and dictator tyranny, your courts and independent federal justice departments will stop every power-grabbing attack within days with full enforcement power. Transgressors, without top job exception, will be held accountable, most importantly barred from any power over all portions of government that they criminally abused. Prosecution must remain an option in office when unpunished bad actors and presidents could just keep it up without consequences tough enough to modify, to correct incredibly dangerous to millions, up to billions, bad behavior. Hundreds of years of American justice departments have maintained an unwritten tradition of refusing to prosecute presidential crime against the public, no matter what percentage of planet Earth they threaten. Prosecution of a president in office, goes their logic, would hamper his or her indispensable, critical, irreplaceable public duties, and thus be oh so harmful to us all. No, they just owe their jobs to him, so we'll coddle him to our deaths to keep their damn paychecks. And excuse me, but doesn't letting the world's most powerful man criminally rage cause about 1 billion times more public harm? The vice president could perform his every duty during his court appearances and hopefully take over when conviction for crimes against humanity proven demonstrate his unfitness for office, not to mention white-hot hazard to the public from leaving a world-class crook in charge. How many millions of people have presidents fired because he thought they could compromise his power? Never mind their unblemished performance. In fact, most of the million Trump plans to fire soon will receive email lies about their performance failures that never existed to document. Some judges raged that firings justified only by lies suck. But others shrug. Bosses will be boys. Your government will only fire for proven cause and immediately refill every congressionally, constitutionally ordered job. Judges will not be allowed to spit on the Constitution. Until your government, that only you can win, here's what Trump's government is getting done. Decades ago, the corrupt President George W. Bush lied that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, excusing his invasion of that nation, killing over 1 million of them, costing us a mere 4,500 American deaths, plus 40,000 horribly wounded, most suffering for life. But Mr. Bush also had a good side. He began what continued through his life to save with medicines all over the world, exponentially more lives than he took while in the pay of World Murder Incorporated. He created and gained massive annual funding from Congress for the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. For decades, PEPFAR has kept a documented 26 million AIDS victims thriving for life on antiretroviral medicines. Until this March, Bush's Angel of Mercy was keeping another 20 million alive. Trump has now begun and will continue deliberately killing them as fast as possible until soon most are dead. Also, his entire 90-day, actually permanent foreign aid halt will cause millions more starvation deaths. Just program pauses would leave staff, infrastructure, and contractor support in place, all prepared for renewal unless Congress is persuaded to rescind their own programs. In fact, likely from that Trump-ruled body. All foreign aid that does not murder millions with American-sold weapons is, according to the American Firster, totally unexplainable. Allow life-saving of gays that we bigots hate and want dead? Are you kidding? So Trump and Musk, taking care to faithlessly destroy, not faithfully execute our laws, as he swore on a Bible to, fired PEPFAR and USAID staff and contractors, and abandoned all infrastructure never to be used again, ripping USAID's metal wall sign off of their Washington headquarters to hammer their illegal foreign aid assassination home. Musk posted a video cartoon of the dozens of American programs he was totally destroying, not trimming. Each program's human head bent over, his chainsaw chopping off each with geysers of blood. At a giant Washington rally of the faithful, he danced and danced across the stage, waving a chainsaw. A few of Trump's 53 Republican senators, terrified for their jobs if Trump were to primary them for 1% criticism of him, suggested that while government devastation was mostly just peachy, could the double-barreled shotgun be fired with a touch more caution and diplomacy? After all, we gotta face the voters. After world outcry, President Musk announced resumption of the biggest American control of the world's most dangerous contagion, just lying to paper over the nasty little news cycle. Staff, infrastructure, contractors, and money, thus all service to every imperiled human being, are permanently gone. Many on site testify to across the world. U.S. aid, giant fully appropriated American law until Musk cut its head off, standard corporate raider behavior, cruel but legal in the private sector, kept the starving fed and dying restored with medicine in 120 countries. All 120 should sue, with American sponsors in American federal courts to enforce American world-saving law. A Supreme Court proceeding to destroy the Constitution 120 times in a row would soon destroy the political party of Trump hate at the next election, as will the destruction of 100 million Americans' medical and other benefits that Musk illegally robs, or his Republicans legally vote to remove to pay for massive new tax breaks for their poor little millionaire and billionaire bribers. Then Trump will try to order the American military to end American democracy with martial law until his death, not retirement. Millions protesting in the streets, then overwhelming Congress recapture by Democrats. Trump will attack with troops unless you court-order them to refuse. He is on record as saying, "By the end of my second term, America will not need any more elections." Trump's worldwide trade war and bomb and siege ethnic cleansing of Palestinians and conspiracy with Putin to finish destroying Ukraine after short ceasefire rehabbing of his exhausted army will all be very hard on world and American economies. Deborah Birx, the infectious disease doctor who directed much of American government response to COVID, now projects ahead beyond the tens of millions of AIDS patients that Trump's antiretroviral medicine cutoff will soon kill. Until now, every pill changed them from massively infectious to totally HIV non-transmissible. But deny 20 million those meds, then AIDS could again explode across Earth, likely mutating to even worse, more infectious forms. Today, your family is safe as long as they are not injecting IV drugs with shared needles or in deep sexual contact with AIDS carriers. But courtesy of Donald Trump, new strains could fill every lung on Earth from hours of floating in our restaurant and store checkout line air. While decades of AIDS vaccine research has failed, will resuming billions of antiretroviral pills save most of the afflicted? Yes, but after years of delay, the exploding virus world raging again could mutate to antiretroviral resistant. As Trump cut off 20 million AIDS victims' life-saving therapy, easily exploding the disease back to acceleration through 50 American states, again spread by the universal airliner route, He also destroyed the U.S. aid programs of Hotspot and World Airport, surveil and test defenses, totally designed to keep every epidemic local, foreign, and the hell out of our United States. Webster's Dictionary, new definitions of stupid and suicidal for the next 100 editions. Restoration of U.S. aid, AIDS rescue, and world surveillance require their own separate emergency lawsuit, though the bigger legal action must deny Musk Trump theft of all congressional laws, money, staff, and infrastructure. Current politician and activist initiative won't begin the fight back. Only you are inspired to and capable of. I used to blame misinformed parents and school boards for ever-increasing child school vaccine opt-outs. Until this week, I learned that dozens of Republican state legislature majorities, stupid anti-vaxxers all, keep passing laws encouraging millions of parents to deny their kids vaccinations. All of our suits ask for better law because what we've got now threatens our safety and very lives, most overtly protected in the non-legally binding Declaration of Independence, but also human rights' central purpose of all of our Constitution's ordered law. Deadly government lawyers arguing against our suit to limit vaccine opt-outs to proven massive allergy to the vaccines will claim that Jefferson's Declaration of Independence to again effect our safety neither applies to any escape from tyranny and menace other than George III, and is not guaranteed by actual constitutional law. Wrong on both counts, boys. Constitutional law, purpose and spirit, in our framers' very first sentence, may not be denied by any true federal judge. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Every word of that is denied, opposed, and rejected by laws or practices deliberately letting preventable disease rage up to mass population suffering and death. Then our declaration, precisely keying in on every citizen's and leader's duty to repair any government harmful to us, including our own, eloquently empowers our constitutional law for common defense and general welfare, identical to Thomas Jefferson's declared goal of our safety and happiness. For the second time in my speeches, I yield to everyone's better, Thomas Jefferson. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Before I quote more of Jefferson, think of what millennia of tyranny, billions of soldiers with weapons only used to kill, never in defense against anything but other stupid soldiers and weapons. And consider what the thousands of governments did, dedicated mainly to power and theft, while spurning available enough rescue and care of their citizens away from every natural and human menace. now call to mind all those horrors that good laws and governments must be formed to stop, led by their citizens in need of care, not murdering. Then, while rapidly designing every lawsuit to stop man's public and private inhumanity to man, listen to Thomas tell us why and how to do it for our safety and happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles, and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Both declaration and lawful constitution require government at your direction, revision, and reform to secure our lives, safety, defense, and welfare ever again. My comments. To govern is to control, proscribe, limit, and help all, not just the powerful few, to avert danger to and make safe the entire public. Opposite of his story's lawless tyranny of the rich and mass-armed, bullies, anarchy, and dictatorship, controlling only the weak weaker, limiting or stopping killers and abusers never, and helping only the already dominant and crushing every lower class, caste, wrong color, wrong religion, and wrong flag, savaging all the helpless until we're all hurt, suffering, and dead. I write and speak to you to identify abusers, then work to replace them with lawful helpers, so we don't all die fast and miserable, but live long, loving, and happy. We family guardians do all that for our own 100 hours a week, never realizing all hundreds soon to go to hell unless we add just 1 hour going public. Donald Trump's daughter, psychologist Mary Trump, writes books and gives interviews about the world's most dangerous man, trying not to be nasty about his insanity, most resembling pure evil. The accusation I am both sickened and proud to make. He'll rampage on us 4 years minimum. Please recall my repeated scheme that we must realize to take away leaders' dirty money and all attack armies conventional, not just nuclear weapons of mass destruction. Add our overturning of all voter suppression laws and every government's and political contest's lure to jackals, surfing corporate weaponeer and other bribery to oligarchy and single monster dictatorship. Then millions of family lovers and guardians will become 100% of all political candidates and office holders. No more absolute power to absolutely corrupt anyone, much less go on without your peaceful but revolutionary rescue to kill everyone, certainly not sparing your little children. My every speech tells you that the world and your fully interdependent family are soon doomed without your full, forever sustained legal, political, environmental rescue. Only mounted when everybody goes crazy like me. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Bullshit alarm. My crazy ain't shit until your daily minutes of research, internet communication, collaboration, and activism begin our 1,000-mile journey with Bill Murray's little baby steps.